Hello, everyone. My name is Shakayla Alvarenga. I'm the Director of Public Programs here at the Mott Museum. Thank you for continuing to watch our Community Safety Forum virtual series. So, we have been covering a wide array of topics related to the coronavirus, but one that was pretty unexpected was a surge in reckless driving and speeding during the pandemic. We talked to traffic safety leaders about it and what you can do to be a part of the solution.
We expected at a time where people were supposed to be staying at home for Nevada to show a decrease in fatalities, but unfortunately, we had a rather large increase in fatalities during this time with speed and with serious injuries as well. And so, when we talk about what we've seen the unfortunate loss of life of a rather younger demographic, especially too, in the last few weeks, 17-year-olds, 16-year-old, and then a 1-year-old.
Nothing's quite as frustrating as the ones where the pedestrian's doing everything right and they get taken out by an impaired driver. And that's the case in any traffic fatality. When it's someone who's blatantly made a selfish choice, those are the most difficult ones to internalize.
When you started to see these numbers, were you surprised that this was all happening during the pandemic?
Yes, we were definitely surprised when we saw some of the monthly numbers start to come in. At a time that we were asking people to stay at home for Nevada, we experienced a decrease in traffic volume, but we saw an increase in fatalities. This was largely due to people taking advantage to the open roadways and speeding rather dramatically. And unfortunately, it resulted in the loss of life all across the state. In how our office looks at data, we look at month over month compared to the year previous. 2019, we did see a slight decrease in fatalities compared to 2018. So it was a better year than we've had historically. But during the pandemic, April, May, June, and July were rather interesting to us because two of those months we saw rather significant increases up to that 40% mark and an uptick in fatalities. And those were largely due to speeding and impairment on our roadways.
As a community member, it makes my heart hurt. As a traffic safety professional, I always look at those as failures, as the ones that we lost. And unfortunately, in our business, you don't get to hear a lot about the ones that you saved. It's just that if there's a day with zero fatalities, that was a good day for us.
I'm approaching 11 years in traffic safety, and it's incredible that we continue to see over 50%, about 53% of our fatalities here in the state of Nevada involve some type of impairment, and so we have to do better. The fatality that we saw earlier this month, when we look at it, it was a 100% preventable because it was caused by an impaired driver. If that driver was driving sober, they would have seen the teens in a fully marked crosswalk. We historically have used what we call the 5 E's of traffic safety. It starts with engineering. We need to make sure that our roadways are built safely and we have the proper infrastructure. And our partners at the DOTs and the cities and the municipalities, they continue to engineer improvements so that we can have safer streets inherently. We always follow that up with education, and that's where our program comes in. We will see a change in tone, probably a more upfront tone than we have used in the past decade that zero fatalities has been around. And so we plan on launching several PSAs. Unfortunately, if people choose not to, follow the engineering infrastructure and follow our advice with through education, it is time to enforce the law. We have the DUI strike team here in Southern Nevada, which continues to remain a large deterrent in impaired drivers. They recently just arrested 2,000 impaired drivers since their inception of late 2018. And that's followed up by EMS and everyone. We truly need the community's help when it comes to being safe behind our roadways. It's as simple as always buckling up, slowing down, and always driving sober. And if we did those three things, we could cut our fatalities easily in half.
Of course, I always have to end with saying, always wear your seatbelt. It's your best defense in any crash situation.
If you believe if you're driving and you're behind someone who you suspect to be impaired, please call 911 or Star and HP to report that suspected impaired driver. All too often, we see on our social media that we need a hotline to report a suspected impaired driver. That hotline is going to be 911 on the local roadways and Star and HP on the freeways.
Thank you for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you at the Mob Museum soon.